Hidden in our midst, in the guise of a popular department store group, is the blueprint of a perfect world. A world where people are utterly decent and fair. And everyone has their place in one happy nation of shopkeepers, guided by the wisdom of their revolutionary leader.
To my mind, the earnings of the teamwork of the business world can and should be shared very much more fairly between the managers and the managed. General change this way would, I believe, give us a vast increase of production and a much healthier, happier world.
For 80 years, those who live in the founder's shadow have toiled to build his courageous vision of an alternative to communism. In all that they do, they are motivated by one supreme purpose.
The partnership's supreme purpose is to secure the fairest possible sharing by all its members of the advantages of ownership, gain, knowledge and power.
The actual founder said it's only a fool who puts the business of business too far ahead of the enjoyment of the actual partners. One of them words.
That is to say, their happiness in the broadest sense of the word, so far as happiness depends upon gainful occupation. It's an unusual definition of happiness.
Peter Jones, one of 23 department stores in the John Lewis Partnership. It was here, in London's Chelsea, that the founder began his experiment to create what he called a new social organism.
I think when the partnership started off, I think it was based on a communist policy. Even though it was probably taboo to say communism, it was based on a communist policy shared amongst the wealthy.
For decades, the partnership mistrusted the outside world, shielding its precious traditions behind a wall of silence. Now, under the fourth chairman, the time has come for Glasnost.
Why did you decide to allow us to come and make a film about you? Well, I think it's partly a changing generation, that nowadays there is a much greater sense of openness and being prepared to talk to people about what you do, and it's in that spirit that I'm very happy for the cameras to come into the partnership. Are you a partner?
Yes. Yeah. Everybody that works in the partnership is known as a partner.
There's no unions, there's no involvement from outside or anything, you know, and you do have your branch council, your central council to go to with your grievances. You're not just staff, you are an actual partner, and people do think they are that little bit special.
Partners shopping, remember the only partner that can shop today is a fully retired partner.
Let's try and do 40,000, which will be the magic figure.
Morning, everybody. Take it easy now.
This was a memorandum that he sent to the general manager of Tyrrell and Green, and he wrote it on the 14th of March 1946. One cannot see everything. I have been interested to find how, if one walks along a bank watching carefully for wild flowers, one happens soon afterwards to go down that bank a second time, one may find that one has missed more than one of the kinds of flowers that were there to be seen.
Who's doing which bridge, Kevin?
Morning, madam. Hello. What are you looking for today?
If you want to catch fish, you must not argue with them. You must conform to the feelings of the fish. And that is why I have a fish on the wall of my office, to remind me of just that fact.
A kettle?
Yes.
This is the fabrics department.
I know, but I'm going from there to downstairs.
We have an extremely clever buyer who knows, a lady buyer who knows what women want to wear. Ice cream coloured silks, checkered, all from India. Sequins. Tubing, worn with suits.
The staff are excellent. They even remember one, which was a miracle these days. And it is so popular with everyone I know.
You get these people who come in and think, oh, really original, let's do the House Magnolia. Don't do the House Magnolia, it's boring. It is such a boring colour, that and buttermilk. The partnership love Magnolia. Magnolia is for corpses, it's dead, it's boring.
The main thing is our customers aren't making a fashion statement when they're shopping with us. They know that they're going to be treated well, that they're going to get good service, and we have an extremely loyal set of customers as a result of that.
I've had an account here for 30 years. I had my wedding list here, and since then it's been home from home.
They don't force you into buying things, and they're very helpful. And I think this is, what English people used to be like.
Do you remember when you used to drive in for petrol and the guy used to come out and actually fill it up? Well, it's like that here. You get this old-fashioned feel like England used to be.
A place like home, a charm from the skies.
My name is Eric Holmes. I'm an undersale checker at George Henry Lee Department Store.
Do you disguise your identity when you go out to these shops?
Not really, no. Apart from becoming rather absurd about it, I don't think you really could. But I just try, as anybody of my height can, remain anonymous.
You are quite tall, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
How tall are you?
I'm about 6'4", which is difficult to hide. I think you get a sense in the partnership of honesty, a caring attitude, which I like to think does go hand in hand with making a better society, shall we say. But it's all about individual progress on the road to spiritual awareness. Well, the next step is to go inside this competitor here behind me. I'm checking a shampoo. I know from experience where it is, so I can go directly to it. It's in the middle against the back wall.
What's the secret of not being identified?
Don't look them in the eye. Look as if you're a shopper and just desperately try to look anonymous.
How do you remember the details of what you want to check?
I tend to write them down on a little piece of paper and put them inside this paper here like this, so that if I do forget, I can just simply have a glance like that, as if I'm looking at the paper.
Inside your copy of the Times?
Yeah.
I'm Reece, and I'm a technologist for John Lewis. At this present moment, I'm just setting up a teddy bear to test for flammability.
My name's Steve, and I'm a technologist in the Immersion Dice Testing Laboratory. I'm going to use this fiberglass leg form to measure these tights against the current John Lewis partnership specification.
How many pairs of tights would you say you test a week, Steve?
Probably approximately about 10 pairs per week.
It's quite a large leg, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's an 11-inch diameter leg, which is it's a standard throughout the industry, so that all people who measure hosiery measure to the same standards.
Well, what's the result? Is it an
That's absolutely right. Shampoo, 16 pence less than us, which means we'll have to reduce ours by 20 pence to the nearest partnership price.
I met the founder. I was very fortunate too. Marvellous man. Without the founder, we wouldn't have had the John Lewis partnership as it is today. And you may or may not have heard, but the founder, he thought that the owners of businesses had too much money.
It was necessary to provide some alternative to disorder and to revolution if capitalism was to survive, and the partnership was capitalism's answer to communism.
In 1928, as the Russians set out to build a communist utopia, John Speedon Lewis inherited his father's shops. That same year, he took a giant step towards his own dream of revolution and led the partners on their long march to happiness.
I do admire the man. When you think about it, somebody who was a very wealthy man, sharing his wealth with his workers in that day and age, is amazing.
The very first thing to remember is the remarkable thing he did, which he actually handed his business over to those who worked in it. Now, it's no surprise that that has never been replicated.
Either people were against it or they thought it was a lot of folly. But he proved they were all wrong.
Many of the partnership's leaders are recruited from the armed forces and the civil service. On joining up, they are sent to haberdashery or kitchenware for re-education.
We're a bit like the Navy or the military, really. We have discipline, we have rules and regulations. The chairman is the only one allowed to use green ink still, and I think the captain of the ship only uses green ink. We all have a share in the company, which is handed out in the form of a bonus, which we have once a year, which is a share out of all the profits of the company. The bonus is done as a percentage of the money that you earn, so the chairman gets the declared percentage of his salary, and I get the declared percentage of mine, which is a bit less, of course.
Peter Jones.
All 35,000 partners share the power of management through 400 elected councils and committees.
We're in the Ladies' Shoe Department of Peter Jones, and we're holding a constituency meeting for the Perfumery Department, Jewellery Department, Ladies' Shoes, Hosiery, Hats, Small Leathers and Scarves.
Constituency meeting?
Yes, a constituency meeting is a meeting that's held where we inform everybody of the things that are going on in the business.
Is that like a political meeting?
Well, yes.
This is the second come third reading of the discount regulations. The forms you've got in front of you, just quickly go through them with you. These are what have actually
bonus that I've got, great. But obviously there's people sitting in certain places who you think are not doing as good a job, and they're getting much more bonus than you are.
How big is your bonus then? I got exactly the same bonus last year in percentage terms as everybody else in the partnership.
I think my bonus was something around the region of about £1,000, 1,500 quid, something like that. Which compared to his is a big, big step down.
We are a completely open organisation, and if a partner is disturbed about any aspect of the way the business is run, or if they wish to criticise the conduct of any of the directors, they're free to do so, and that's what you see every single week in the Gazette.
Honest criticism is good for all of us, wrote the founder. Since 1918, partners have been urged to criticise their leaders in the Gazette. Answers must be printed within 21 days.
Does that mean that people can be quite critical of the partnership?
Absolutely. And they are.
And they're not afraid of being sacked?
Well, no, because if they choose to use a pseudonym, which the majority do, then there is no way that they can be traced.
The partnership is still an experiment in industrial democracy. For answers to the following questions: is the present chairman a Freemason? Which members, if any, of the Central Board of Free Democracy was the founder a Freemason? Does the chairman think the founder would have approved? Is there any chance he could build me a cheap fireplace?
I wrote back saying that I got neither any hesitation about saying, yes, I am a Freemason and have been now for some 28 years, but that's nothing to do with the way that I run my business.
It's a good company, it's family. It looks after you well. It really does, yes. They're very, very keen on ticketing. They like everything ticketed and everything with a price on. Everything.
Is there a certain wording you've got to use?
Yes, there are certain words that we do use, and, you know, some that we don't use, we don't think is partnership.
Not partnership?
Not partnership, no. We wouldn't use it. These are the tickets. I've got to just slide down, sorry. They're the tickets when they're produced, and it's all perforated. These are 2x3s, and these are for the mirrors.
Well, I'm Chris Plank, and I work at High Wycombe store. I'm in the carpet department there.
I've been there for 7 years now.
Are you rank and file?
They do. That is the term, yes. I'm pleased to be one.
Life of the country gentleman today.
For just one day?
Just one day, yes. This is what the founder wanted, that what the normal individual would never have a hope of doing, that working for the partnership you get this facility.
The founder's estate, 4,000 acres in a Hampshire valley, was left to all the partners for their greater happiness.
Great. This stretch, there's 11 miles of bank here at Leckford. It all belongs to the John Lewis Partnership. It's subsidised for partners. They get it very cheap, about a tenth of the cost of outsiders.
The partnership has a lot to offer. And if you use what they have to give you, which is we have beautiful hotels and beautiful places to go and stay, you gain by this. We'll give you a receipt and we'll send it upstairs. When are you in town again? See them on the model over there. It's a nice job. Mostly everybody's going on holiday and they're in a good mood. Over the 20 years there's been things that have been really got me mad. But if you work in a job, you have to play the game. It took a lot for me to conform, but in the end I did conform. So here I am.
Part of my job is to clean up behind the dogs.
Because dogs are allowed in the shop?
Dogs are allowed in the shop, and this is the dog log. July 10th, Dogs Mess Linens entrance in Cadogan Gardens. The Dogs Mess went all round the pillow area. Mrs Mackay and Mrs Byrne cleaned this one. March 5th, Trent had Dogs Mess by shutter near escalator. Mrs Mackay cleaned this one. It was firm, so it was not too bad to clean. Dogs Mess, Tuesday the 17th of January, 3rd floor, A stairs. A dog had a field day and we had lots of small nuts to find and pick up. The owner was very sorry. Mrs Kilty, Mrs Byrne cleaned this one.
Why do they have to be logged?
Oh, why do they have to be logged? Well, they're logged so the MD can keep her eye on it and see whether things get out of hand or whether they're in favour.
I thought I would record precisely what happens on such occasions so that if the subject came up in branch council or in discussion, we could measure it.
So in case any of the democratic committees wants to ban dogs, the managing director has a record of all the dog poos?
Yeah.
Right.
Certainly has.
Did you realise this was an experimental utopian community?
A what?
The John Lewis Partnership?
Yes, no, I didn't know that.
So they all own the shop together and they all vote on everything and they have a big democracy in the parliament.
I see. No, I didn't realise that.
Number 79! Discipline is quite rigid, but then I think you need rules, and the rules have to be adhered to. And if the rules are broken, then various degrees of consequences.
On the Peter Jones house rules, no one is allowed in the branch with a handbag bigger than 12 by 9. And to demonstrate this to the partners, we use a handbag gauge. Basically, all it is a piece of wood with a hole cut in it, 12 by 9. And all you do is when the partners come into the branch, they show us a handbag. If it's too big like this one here, it won't go through the hole. Then they leave it on the back door and we give a tag for it.
Why is it 12 by 9?
12 by 9 is the house rule.
If partners are given gifts by suppliers or by members of the public, then they basically have to hand the gifts into the partnership. The partner can buy the gift back at whatever is judged to be a fair price. And here at Central we have a cupboard in which we keep a variety of things which have been given to us over the past year. Well, for example, we've got a bottle of Spumante here. Another one dry one there.
I feel it's like the civil service maybe used to be. It's very safe, dreary, dull. I feel as though I would never be evicted or slung out on my ear from anywhere because I've got this safety net, you know, which I think is the idea of it. I recently had a case of a solicitor's fees for my daughter, and she was to be defended the next day, and the guy wanted the money up front for the defence. And so I came to the committee here, and
Which committee?
This is the committee for claims the partnership's got, and there was no hesitation. It was about £300.
What did they do?
I got it, and the next day there was no problem.
The partnership's pretty good. They've been good to me in the past. I had a heart attack a few years ago, and they were very good to me while I was off work.
People function better if they're happy because they're feeling safe. So maybe they relax, maybe they work better. Could be a basic, a cheap psychological trick to make you graft, but it keeps me here.
The founder dreamed that one day democracy might replace management. Every branch has a council. Once elected, councillors can't be sacked without the chairman's consent. Mr. Dickinson is the clerk to the council at Peter Jones.
I am a servant of the branch council.
Is that your full-time job?
That is my full-time job, yeah. But it is a part-time job. I'm actually a retired partner. I have partly retired. I am semi-retired, as you might say. We are going to debate this afternoon's agenda for the branch council. I am at the moment preparing the president's table. There's his gavel and his block.
Has it ever changed anything?
There have been a number of issues, yes. The particular one that springs to mind is the issue of short-sleeve shirts. Recommendation to the management that short-sleeve shirts be allowed during the summer months, and now short-sleeve shirts are allowed at certain times and in certain buildings within a defined period.
So that was a triumph for democracy?
It was a triumph for democracy, yeah. Public opinion. Things aren't done with large sweeps in the partnership. They're done by little drips of water, continually wearing away on stones, and eventually you get there in the end.
I think when the founder first set up the democracy, he based it on the House of Parliament. You know, you've got a president of the council, whether it's branch or central, and he's more or less like the Speaker of the House, keeping everybody in order. You know, so it's more or less run like government.
I'm sure the next one will get some speakers. Proposal 6, a partnership discount, second reading. Before I start the debate, I'd like to just tell you how I think we should proceed with this debate, and I've discussed this with the General Purposes Committee and they've actually agreed with me. Before I do that, though, I'd just like to thank
The partnership democracy is debating changes in the strict regulations on discount shopping for partners. Recently, a partner bought an engagement ring jointly with his bride-to-be. She was a non-partner, but discount was claimed on the full price of the ring. This didn't go unnoticed.
There was a fairly high-profile case where a non-partner's money had been used to claim discount for an emotional purchase of an engagement ring. So you can see the difficulty. But both
what happened to the...
Well, both the petitions committee... the partner was dismissed.
Is there a danger we're making a moral judgment here? That because you're not married and because people lead different lifestyles, we should be excluding them?
There are also quite a number of people who have had long-standing relationships who are only...
Mr. Robertson, what are your views on no change?
Basically, there should be change.
Mrs. Kilty.
Mrs. Kilty, non-selling being, Mr. President. When I first started here, I was told that I could not claim discount for my partner, which I agreed, and I came to work here on that agreement. I don't see where anybody says that 1 year is a long term. My long term is 28 years.
Yes, Miss Crossland.
Sorry. Mr. President, Miss Crossland, Management A and B. I do believe that considering the amount of time that we've spent on discussing and debating discount, that we actually ought to vote on each of the...
Bless us, Lord, and for the food which we are about to receive, which are the fruits of your creation,
We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Do you think the founder would be happy if he saw the partnership today?
50-50, I think. I think he'd be surprised that his values still actually existed in today's society. But I think he might be a bit disappointed in how partners are being treated in some areas of the partnership. Pay.
The founders said that nobody in the partnership should be paid more after tax than the equivalent of £5,000 in 1900, or, rather interestingly, 25 times what a full-time sales assistant in Oxford Street with 4 children was paid. Both of those figures, in today's prices, are about £500,000. And how much are you paid? Not as much as that. Can't you say? You'll see from the report and accounts that about 300,000.
While the founder wisely made sure that the leadership would never be overpaid, the basic wage for rank and file is the local market rate.
When I say to you that there are some partners in this branch earning less than £120 a week for 36 3/4 hour week, you know, I mean, that type of level of wages is unacceptable in this 1995-96 year. Wouldn't you agree? It's to do with supply and demand, basically.
There's nothing you can do about that, is there?
No, that's the market forces.
Pay-wise, which is all that matters at the end of the day, we're not dramatically better off for all the committees and all the councils and all the chitter-chatter. No. We're still skint.
Honoured guests, the Queen.
Queen. I think it's a waste of money. I did branch council for 12 months and I wouldn't go on principle because I thought it was a waste of money. Because they get paid, they are paid councillors and they do it in their working time. So why should they give them a dinner? I didn't go to mine, as I say, on principle.
I love the branch council dinners. I mean, this is my 7th branch council dinner, and as each year rolls on, each dinner gets better.
So, Mr. President, fellow councillors and guests, please be upstanding and raise your glasses to the toast to the partnership and its chairman.
Last year we sold 1.2 million buttons last year. On average about just under 4,000 a day.
This is the counting machine. Because of regulations I have to put the headset on to protect my hearing. I'm now going to count the cash. This cash is from books.
From 1990, profits fell 4 years in a row, endangering the revolution. Not one partner was laid off, but a new style of thinking emerged.
We are the only example of an industrial democracy on a major scale. And what we've got to do is make sure that our unique form of business is just as competitive as the conventional PLC against which we're competing. And we're competing in an extremely ferocious marketplace.
Well, my contract's getting terminated in 6 weeks because they're changing my contract and I don't wish my contract to be changed. I work now Monday to Friday. I have done for 21 years. And now they want me to change Tuesday to Saturday, shop hours, which I find unacceptable to me. Well, my husband works shift work and I only see him on a Saturday, so that's why I don't want to work Saturday. To me, it's gone more business-minded than what it was. Very sad, really. It's a partnership in name now, nothing else.
The march to happiness continues. 6 times a year, opposite the House of Commons, central councillors from every branch meet to debate national issues. This will be their second attempt to decide the question of partners' shopping discount.
This is my first year at Central Council, and it is scary. Nobody actually gets across to you how daunting it is to actually sit down in a chamber which has got people from all over the partnership, the whole works there, And the last thing you want to do is actually get up and say anything. All you want to do is be very quiet, be what they call a silent voter.
Why should we accept a situation, to me, which is against principles of the partnership, because it's common? Why don't they join us? And if they want discount, then all they have to do is get married. Simple.
I looked at Jerry and said, men do live and love each other. Women do live and love each other. The woman's got to get her life because she's one of the people that's holding the partnership back.
Mr. O'Callaghan.
O'Callaghan, ex officio. Mr. President, the fact that requests may come to this council to seek change is not a reason for making change. Change should come because it's seen by the council to be in the best interests of the partnership.
Born before the other utopias of our time, communism, fascism, the welfare state, the John Lewis Partnership, in its quiet way, has outlived them all. It's the world's largest workers' cooperative and Britain's top department store group, with sales of £2.5 billion. Yet in spite of its success, the founders' political experiment has not been widely copied.
Are big decisions taken here?
No, they're not. This is the influence which partners have on the management decision-making process. The decisions are taken by management in the normal way.
Do you know how much money you made?
A lot. Yeah, new record for the department and for Children Choose. It's a record day today. It's very good news.
No, it's been a really good day. Really good.
On Friday the 25th of March, there was a giant dog's mess found in the lady's shoes next to the chair by the hats. Mr. Spalding cleaned this one. It was an experience for him, that one was.